Hey everyone! Today's video is going to change how you think about kindness forever. We're talking about something most people get totally wrong, why being too nice can actually make people lose respect for you. And I'm not just making this up. We're going to look at what ancient Stoic philosophers knew about this problem and how it affects your life right now. Act number 1. The trap of endless kindness. Let's start with something you probably know too well. You're that person everyone counts on. The one who never says no. The one who's always there to help. Always ready with a kind word. Always putting others first. Your friends, family, and co-workers all know they can depend on you. Sounds perfect, right? Well, hold that thought, because I'm about to show you why this might be causing you more problems than you realize. Here's what typically happens. You start being super nice to someone. At first, they're amazed. They keep telling you how great you are, how they've never met anyone so helpful. You feel good about yourself, but then something starts to change. Those thank yous become less frequent. The appreciation fades. Soon, they're not even acknowledging your help anymore. They just expect it. But it gets worse. One day, you're too busy or too tired to help. Maybe you've got your own problems to deal with. And what happens? They get angry. They act like you've done something wrong. Suddenly, you're the bad guy for not being available 24/7. Does this sound familiar? It should, because it happens to nice people everywhere, every single day. The really crazy part? This pattern doesn't just happen with one person. It repeats itself over and over in different areas of your life. That friend who always needs favors. The family member who expects you to drop everything when they call. The co-worker who dumps their work on you because you're so good at it. Each time the story's the same. Your kindness becomes expected, then demanded, then taken for granted. Let's talk about why this happens. It's actually pretty simple. Humans naturally value things that are harder to get. The Stoics figured this out thousands of years ago. When something's always available, we stop seeing it as special. Think about it like this. Remember when you got your first smartphone? It seemed amazing, right? But now, it's just normal. That's exactly what happens with kindness. When it's always there, people stop seeing how valuable it is. And here's another truth bomb. Being too nice often comes from a place of fear. Fear of conflict. Fear of rejection. Fear of not being liked. But here's the thing, people can sense that fear. They might not realize it consciously, but they can tell when your kindness comes from weakness instead of strength. And that's when the respect starts to fade. Now, I know what some of you are thinking, but isn't being kind a good thing? Absolutely. The problem isn't with kindness itself, it's with how and why you're being kind. There's a huge difference between choosing to be kind and feeling forced to be kind. One shows strength, the other shows weakness. And trust me, people can tell the difference. Think about the most respected people you know. Are they mean? Usually not. But they're also not pushovers. They're kind when they choose to be. Not because they feel they have to be. That's the secret. It's not about stopping your kindness. It's about making it a choice instead of a compulsion. The Stoics had a great way of looking at this. They believed that everything in life should be done with purpose and intention. When you're kind just because you're afraid to be anything else, you're not really being kind. You're just avoiding conflict. And that's not helping anyone, especially not yourself. Let's dig deeper into what happens when you're too nice. Every time you say yes when you want to say no, you're sending a message, not just to others, but to yourself. You're saying that your time, your energy, your needs don't matter as much as everyone else's. And guess what? If you keep telling yourself that, you'll start believing it. This creates a dangerous cycle. The less you respect your own boundaries, the less others respect them too. It's like having a fence around your house but never fixing the holes. Eventually, people will just walk right through. Your kindness becomes like water from a tap, always available, so nobody values it. Act number 2. The hidden cost. Now let's talk about something that might surprise you. How being too nice can actually make you a worse person. Sounds crazy, right? But stick with me here, because this is important. When you're constantly putting others first, You're not just teaching them to disrespect you, you're also building up resentment. Deep down, you start feeling angry about always being the one who has to compromise, always being the one who has to help, always being the one who has to give in. This resentment doesn't just sit there quietly. It leaks out in small ways: passive-aggressive comments, subtle eye rolls, silent treatments. You might think you're hiding it well, but trust me, people can tell. And nothing kills respect faster than someone who acts nice but feels bitter. The Stoics had a word for this kind of behavior. They called it living against nature. They believed that trying to be something you're not always leads to problems. When you're fake nice, you're not being true to yourself, and that internal conflict will always find a way to show itself. But here's where it gets really interesting. The people who command the most respect, they're not the ones who are always nice, or the ones who are always tough. They're the ones who are consistent and authentic. They're kind when it makes sense to be kind, and firm when it makes sense to be firm. Think about the teachers you respected most in school. Were they the ones who let you do whatever you wanted? Probably not. They were probably the ones who were fair but firm, the ones who showed they cared about you but also had clear boundaries. That's not a coincidence. That's the perfect balance we're talking about. And let's talk about what this constant niceness does to your relationships. When you never show your real feelings, when you're always agreeing with everyone, you're not actually building real connections. You're creating shallow relationships based on what you do for people, not who you are. The cost of this goes way beyond just feeling tired or stressed. It affects your whole life. Your work suffers because you're always doing things for others instead of focusing on your own goals. Your relationships suffer because they're built on an unreal version of you. Your health suffers because you're constantly pushing yourself to please others. Even worse, this pattern tends to attract toxic people into your life. You know the type. The ones who are always taking but never giving. They can spot an overgiver from a mile away, and they'll keep pushing your boundaries until there's nothing left to take. The really sad part, many people stay stuck in this pattern their whole lives. They keep hoping that if they're just nice enough, people will finally appreciate them. But it never works. Because respect doesn't come from being nice, it comes from being authentic and having healthy boundaries. Act number 3, the solution. So, what's the answer? How do you break free from this trap without becoming mean or selfish? The solution is simpler than you might think, but it takes courage to put it into practice. First, you need to understand that setting boundaries isn't mean it's healthy. When you say no to things you don't want to do, you're not being selfish, you're being honest. And honesty, even when it's uncomfortable, builds more respect than endless niceness ever could. The Stoics would tell you to start with your own thoughts. Before you say yes to anything, ask yourself, am I doing this because I want to, or because I'm afraid of saying no? If the answer is fear, that's your red flag. Real kindness should come from strength and choice, not from fear and obligation. Here's a practical way to start. Make a list of your non-negotiables. These are your boundaries, the lines you won't cross, the things you won't do, the times you won't give up. Start small if you need to. Maybe it's not checking work emails after 6 p.m. Maybe it's not lending money to friends. Whatever your boundaries are, write them down and stick to them. Next, practice saying no. It doesn't have to be harsh. You can be kind and firm at the same time. I'm sorry, but I can't help with that right now, is a complete sentence. You don't need to explain or justify yourself. Just be clear and consistent. Watch what happens when you start doing this. Some people might get upset at first. That's normal, they're used to the old you, the one who never said no. But the people who truly care about you, they'll adjust. They might even respect you more for it. Remember, respect is like a plant. It needs the right conditions to grow. When you're too nice, you're like a gardener who drowns their plants with too much water. You need to find the right balance, enough kindness to nurture relationships, but enough boundaries to keep them healthy. Start paying attention to how you feel when you help others. If you feel resentful or drained afterward, that's a sign that you're giving too much. True kindness should feel good. It should energize you, not exhaust you. The Stoics believed in something called appropriate action. Doing the right thing at the right time for the right reason. Sometimes the kindest thing you can do is say no. Sometimes setting a boundary is more helpful than giving in. Let's talk about what real strength looks like. It's not about being tough or mean. It's about being authentic. It's about saying what you mean and meaning what you say. It's about being kind because you choose to be, not because you're afraid not to be. Think about it like this. Your kindness is like a gift. When you give it freely to everyone all the time, it loses its value. But when you save it for the right moments and the right people, it becomes precious. That's when it has the most impact. Here's another important point. When you start respecting yourself more, you actually become capable of greater kindness. Because now you're giving from a place of abundance, not from a place of fear or obligation. Your kindness becomes more genuine, more powerful, and more appreciated. The people who really deserve your kindness will respect your boundaries. They'll appreciate your help more because they know it's a choice, not a requirement. And those who get angry when you set boundaries, they're showing you exactly who they are, people who valued what you could do for them more than who you are. So here's your challenge for the next week. Practice conscious kindness. Before you say yes to anything, take a breath and ask yourself if you really want to do it. If the answer is no, practice saying no kindly but firmly. Watch how it feels. Watch how people respond. Notice how your relationships start to change. Some might get worse at first. Those are the ones that were built on your people-pleasing behavior. But others will get stronger. You'll start attracting people who respect boundaries, who give as much as they take, who value the real you. Remember, you're not becoming less kind, you're becoming more authentic. And authenticity, combined with conscious kindness, is what creates real, lasting respect. This journey isn't easy. You'll make mistakes. You'll feel uncomfortable. There will be times when you want to go back to your old people-pleasing ways, but stick with it. The respect you gain from others and from yourself is worth every uncomfortable moment. The Stoics believed that true wisdom comes from living in harmony with your nature. When your kindness comes from strength instead of fear, when it's a choice instead of a compulsion, that's when you're living in harmony with your nature. That's when you'll find the respect you deserve. So there you have it, guys. The truth about kindness and respect that most people never figure out. If this video helped you, smash that like button and hit subscribe. Share it with someone you know who might be struggling with this. Drop a comment below about your own experiences with being too nice. Let's start a conversation about this. And remember, your kindness is valuable. Don't waste it on people who don't appreciate it. Save it for those who deserve it, including yourself. That's not just smart, that's Stoic wisdom in action. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Don't forget to hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on more life-changing content like this. Peace out.